It's Louis the Reporter here, back for another interview, proudly sponsored by Ghost Promotions, big event April 19th. Now I'm joined by Benji. Unfortunately, your fight never took place versus Hamish this weekend, February 22nd. It was a great night of boxing. But yeah, just Benji, talk me through, first of all, how you was feeling ahead of that fight.
Yeah, where did we start? Obviously, it's better to talk to you in a longer format. Last time I dipped quite quick, didn't I? Yeah, no. Hey, listen, it was a great event, but the week was a bit of a unusual one for me because I was scheduled to fight Kieran, and then the main event pulled out. So it was only Kieran and myself that both put a name forward for the main event slot, and one of us was obviously going to miss out. It turns out it was myself, which no hard feelings on Trey, Kieran, or the promotion. That's why I shook both the hands when I walked off from my face to face, as if to say, do you know what I mean? Good luck, boys. No hard
Yeah, yeah.
feelings. Left me with an opponent. And the night before I was due to drive to Liverpool, I got a DM from a gentleman called Hamish TV, wanting a fight. I accepted, drove to Liverpool, and we can talk about that in more detail. But Louis, I know for a fact you've got the scoop on it all because when all the cameras stopped, there was two gentlemen stood behind me, Tommy Hench and Louis the reporter. So I can put my spin on things, and so can Hamish. But you know what happened because you was there. But I know you're going to ask me. I know it's about my opinion, not yours. But I know you know the truth.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, before we get on to that, obviously the main event, Kieran did claim that, but do you think it would have been better if you did have it, obviously, with Kieran looking quite drained as well with the weight?
Well, it wouldn't have been drained against me. Kieran would have come in at 93, 94 kilo. If you're talking about me v Kieran, then
You
that's
versus Trey. If
um uh, better for who? Better. It's a difficult one to answer because I don't want to be disrespectful because I've been talking to Trey since the main event and Kieran, and I think they're both lovely guys.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm obviously going to say that I would have backed myself to have won. I mean, I'm just going to put that out there, and I bet if you talk to Trey, he would have said the same thing. I think stylistically, Kieran's style is quite unorthodox, or it certainly was for his bout. I'm sure he'll develop that over the months and years. My style's quite defined at this moment in time, being the age that I am, and I could tell you mine and Trey style would have gelled nicely. I think for a very entertaining bout, not quite as entertaining as Kieran's because that was different, but in boxing terms, I think it would have been a great matchup. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna move on to the situation with Hamish, but for everyone watching who might not know what we're on about, just can you talk us through the press conference, how it started, the face off?
Yeah, so we had some supercars presented to us to like shoot some promos, travel down to the location. I saw Hamish there, who was my last minute opponent. Shook his hand, said hello. I had a little chat in the DMs. Everything was friendly enough. I was very thankful for him saving the day, so to speak. At the venue, didn't talk to each other, didn't need to. We sat at the press conference. People took it in turns being called up to the front to have the little head to head, and some were quite animated, wasn't the Louis? Myself and Hamish, not quite so much. I think Hamish had a few one-liners that he'd rehearsed and wanted to get out there. But everything was quite chill, quite respectful. I was definitely trying to shine a light on how thankful I was for Hamish. Although since then in the games he denies that's the case and thinks Speedstar shone a light on him. I don't quite see how that was the case because I was the one speaking. But nonetheless, I asked for a round of applause for him, was ever so thankful. And then he mentioned he was going to knock me out. And that changed things for me a little bit because I've never had a man say that to me and we haven't fought there and then. That's never happened to me. So it was a bit new, but this influencer scene is new to me. And
Yeah.
I turned the screw on him a little bit. I told him that, listen, my son sat very close to you, and you're saying in front of him you're going to knock me out. That's fine, but you're going to have to deliver tomorrow. And I think personally that's where things changed, and he realised things were real, which ultimately, of course, led to the end of the story here, where he pulled out, and he didn't do so in a very good manner. But again, we can get into that.
Yeah, of course. And obviously after that, the whole situation started by him I think he got a message by his team saying, or one of his friends saying about your experience, 10 years experience. I don't know whether it was training or fighting experience. So obviously, just to confirm, your experience is just training with your son, the coaching you
No, no,
do.
no, no. So it's not just that at all. So what I said to Speedstar when I was talking about fighting at 75 kilos and now I'm 88, and I was saying I've had a couple of losses, which is absolutely true. I have had a couple of losses, but there's
Yeah.
also a couple of wins in there, which I never alluded to. And I think the understanding was he's had two lost to, and Hamish was coming in as a bully, thinking, oh, it's a frail old man, he's 41 years old, he's had two lost to. And there's a point to me saying that because later on he turns the tables and he tries to insinuate that somehow that's myself. He's had seven bouts, I've had five. So the fact that he's more experienced in numbers of ring walks, you would never turn down a fight. You would never turn down a fight. But again, Louis, I just think my presence at the press conference, the way I conducted myself, I just think it was too much for him. And in fact, it was too much for him because clearly he pulled. But someone mentioned to him who was on the fight card. There's no point naming names, but somebody did mention to him that I've trained my son. And I was like, yeah, since the age of like 3, I've like took him on the pads. And Hamish was like, see, you've been doing this 15 years then. And I was like, calm down. He was a 3-year-old. He was a toddler. I was holding baby pads for him. And because he's such a novice and I don't even want to put titles on who or what he is, but basically the word coach intimidated him so much that you saw what you saw. You know what happened behind the scenes. Basically, what I'm saying is this: when the cameras were on, he was the most confident man in the room. And then, as soon as the press conferences got done, I walked up to him, wanted to shake his hand and say, "See you tomorrow. Have a good evening." And he said, "Oh, keep in touch." Well, in fact, go on my Instagram. The video's on my Instagram. I got someone to video it, and you will see the way he carries himself. It is not the same persona as when he was dressed as Ben 10.
Yeah, so
So
obviously that fight did go ahead. But if it did before, what did you actually think of Hamish as an opponent? Like stepping in there with him. Did you see any of his
awful,
last fights?
awful, awful, just
Okay, not
terrible. Like I
impressed at
said,
all.
no, not impressed, not in the slightest. He would have got wiped out. Would have got wiped out probably within the first 45 seconds. Like in the head to head, he said, "I've got some chin. I've got some chin." I don't even know how good my chin is because I don't try to get punched on it. So when he was bragging about his chin, I was just like, honestly, you're a fool. And I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to come across like rude or untoward. But internally, I was thinking, you're a fool. If you're trying to intimidate me having a good chin, it's like saying I'm a good punch bag. I'm not impressed with him as a man. I said to him, listen, what you do is a side hustle interviewing. You clearly build good relationships and you're good on the mic, but you're masquerading as a boxer and you're not a boxer. You've had your face on the fight poster, you've been on the press conference, your Instagram's full of these supercars, they're hired out for the day. You're pretending to be a boxer, you're not a boxer. No boxer who's had 7 bouts would turn down someone who's had 5 and lost half of them. So I think he's a complete shithouse. And I've told him that in the DMs. I've been very open about my feelings towards that guy. He's let down a lot of people who spent a lot of money to come to Liverpool, paying for hotels and stuff that were non-refundable.
Yeah, and I believe that would have been your first influencer boxing
Yeah, of course.
professional
Yeah,
fight. Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And behind the scenes and I think on camera as well. You said you don't really, it's unusual to be kind of the settings of an influencer boxing where the fighters on camera kind of have beef and then behind the scenes they're friends. So for you, is influencer boxing a route you want to carry on, or is it just going to be if you fight now, it's going to be like a proper fight?
It just well, like I'm too old. I'm too old for amateur boxing. I'm not allowed to. Like I literally, I'm not allowed to, and I'm clearly not going to turn pro. So the question is, if I still want to test myself in the combat realm, where would I do it?
Yeah.
My son's an elite level boxer, and I want him to get into the scene because you can grow your socials, all the life experiences you get on this scene, getting paid compared to amateur boxing. Never made a penny, and all the fights are obviously incredibly hard. Sometimes in this scene, I feel like it's how big your mouth is or your persona. Um, and that bodes well for someone who's a talented boxer. So you know I'm there as a coach anyway with Bailey. So I'm going to be in and around the scene as a coach anyway. And if I'm going to be traveling down to venues, why not throw on the gloves, earn some money, and and get some good life experiences in there. So I'm open to it, but I just need to make sure my opponent does what they're contractually obliged to do, which is turn up.
Yeah, that should be great to see you in the ring. Obviously, I've never saw one of your fights, but yeah, I'm
No,
excited for it. You mentioned your son as well. Gonna fight on one of these cards. Do you have anyone in mind who would be perfect for him to step in with? Obviously, I think you said he had 25 amateurs.
yeah, he's had like 25 amateurs, so he's very experienced. I feel like on the weight front, I think Marco's an avenue that I'd like for him to explore. The only problem is he's kind of like 64 kilos, and I think, if I'm not wrong in saying it, Marco's a lot closer to 70. So if he's going to give up a weight advantage, I think someone like White Collar McGregor, who obviously would make, he'd do all the talking in the press conference.
Yeah, yeah,
Because my son at this moment in time, he isn't probably the biggest talker in the world. He's actually next to me. I should get him on screen. What do you reckon?
yeah, yeah. Get him, get him.
Get here, boy. Let's share the screen. Do you want to come this side?
Yeah, go on, man.
I'm just saying that I'd like you to get and see. This is obviously Louis.
How's it going, bro?
Yeah, you're right, bro.
Yeah, I'm all good. So we were just speaking about obviously the fight night. Out of all the fighters who boxed or in the small influencer scene, have you got anyone in mind who you want to fight? Obviously, we mentioned small no, white collar Conor McGregor, and obviously Marco, but there's a bit of a weight difference.
Yeah. I think whilst I'm up and coming, I feel like trying to get white collar Conor McGregor for a fight would be definitely good because he's fought Marco, so he clearly backs himself.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And then I believe in the long run, I think Marco would definitely be a really good target to aim for. But as he's quite big on socials, he's a bit heavier, and he's definitely a talented boxer. So yeah, I feel like if I can build up my record and my socials a little bit, then I feel like that's a fight that definitely could happen.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know Marco now, I think he's had 4 fights, all 4 knockouts. So it would be a great test for him. And obviously, white collar Conor McGregor, he did give Marco a bit of a test. And I thought he was better than I thought originally. So that'll be a great fight for you. If you saw Zayn, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I know that.
Yeah, I saw Zayn. Yeah, the one who had the double knockdown.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I see him. I was speaking to him before, and he seems like a nice lad, and he definitely backs himself. So again, if he's someone that would like to fight me, then again, I'm more than happy to get in there with him.
Hey, Louis, just a quick one here. So Matthew Rose, the infamous Matthew Rose. So myself and Matthew went viral years ago on TikTok, amassing 5.5 million views on one video,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we used to spend time with each other. It's just a coincidence. All these years later, we're both in the boxing scene now. It's been put to him in the group chat that there should be battle of the fictitious brothers, because obviously Matthew was pretending to be my son on TikTok. This is my real son, and they were saying if that fight was Matthew was like, I love the storyline, and the prize wouldn't be a belt; it would be I would continue to be one of their dads. So the storyline there, and I think Matthew Rose is, and I like him. After what happened with Bailey, I've got a lot of respect for Matthew. I don't want to call him stupid because that's very rude, but I do think he's stupid enough to say yes to the fight, you know. And failing that, I think a 3-on-1 would be really good. Like you've got George, Matthew Rose, and another. Those three get to tag as often as the one just against Maxi. I think that's a really, really good bout for him, you know.
yeah. Sam, that'll be good. Obviously, I'm surprised that Matthew took Bailey the full way. Obviously Bailey was just having fun in there as well as boxing, but I think the 3v1 would be good. Obviously, with the 25 amateur fights.
He's just
Um,
making noise, Louis. At the end of the day, Maxi's not shy in saying he's not big on socials. He's looking to grow down that avenue. But for right now, to earn yourself the spot on this roster, being Bailey's coach, being my son, these things that help. But at the same time, I don't think you get to come in and just have a one-on-one with George or Matthew. I think it has to be something that's going to be like, oh, wow, did you hear about this style fight or that style fight? And I think a 3v1, something like that, I massively back him. I'm going to be coaching him. And it's a sort of situation where we get people talking.
yeah,
So, you know, if we're going to come into the scene, you know, I think it needs to be making a bit of noise. And I think that's a great opportunity for him.
yeah, and I feel like as well. First of all, that hasn't been done before, and second of all, if you do win the 3v1, you'll
Oh,
have
he
more
will.
people.
He will stop
Yeah.
every person. He will stop each of them.
You'll have more people calling you out. You'll have more people obviously trying to fight you, and then that creates a storyline. then people be saying, "Oh well, 3v1, you can't beat me 1v1, blah blah blah," and then
Exactly.
obviously
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
does create
exactly
a
that.
fight.
Yeah, because the thing is, Louis, he's not going to get on the mic and start giving it all. He's not like his dad. So he's, the route would need to be more than likely making good relationships and doing good work in the ring. Unless I can be like Chris Eubank Senior and I can just be a mouthpiece, that'd be interesting.
Were you there? Who do you think your dad should fight? Obviously, we saw the thing what happened with Hamish, but do you recognise anyone on the scene who we could fight or?
Yeah, I think Hamish's opponent for that he's got a title fight, I believe, in a month. I feel like his opponent would be more than game to fight, and there's not going to be any pullouts on the day there. So I think that'll be a good fight to get ready for, definitely.
Yeah, speaking about that, Benji, I saw a little thing with you and obviously Hamish's opponent Dan Talks fighting. What was that about? Did you get confused with him or
Yeah, do you want me to let you carry on?
Yeah, right, sweet. Nice one. Cheers,
have a good
Louis.
one?
So yeah, that was quite an embarrassing situation, Louis, and I didn't know you were going to mention that. So basically, I've gone on Google and I'm typing in Hamish's name, and it's come up with an image of Dan Kent, and I've screenshotted it and basically put a comparison of the two of us, saying, this person eats knickknacks, this person's on creatine, as if to show we're not the same. And I got a DM from someone called Dan saying, "You're dead disrespectful. I've done my best to lose all this weight." And I was in Witherspoons. And I went to the boys, like we was having a morning breakfast, and I was going to the boys. What's this Hamish's problem? Like, why is he pretending to be two different names? Like, what's his deal? Is he Hamish? Is he Dan? Obviously, I think they look identical. I feel like it's the same person. And then I'm like, one sec, let me just type in this Dan's name. Can you shut the door, Max?
Yeah.
And like, let me just type in this Dan's name and just actually see if it is Hamish himself. And it wasn't. And I was like, oh my God, bro, I'm so sorry. Can I ring you up? Dan said, yeah. And I said, Dan, I am so, so sorry. Like, I would never do that to a man that didn't deserve it. Anyway, I said, like, if you want to get your own back and punch me in the face on season 3, he said, yeah, let's do that. So anyway, that's all sorted. The last 2 days, he's gone very quiet in the DMs now. So I don't know if him and Hamish have been talking. That's what I've been thinking. And fast forward a few weeks, the fight might be arranged. But for the moment, I'm not hearing back from Dan. That's not to say that he's not going to have the bout now because he's agreed to it. But I don't have much faith in people. I think Tommy Hench, Luke Dyson, outside of that, you start looking at people thinking, like, who are the people that turn up every single time,
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't have too much faith in people in the scene, if I'm going to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, obviously earlier as well, in the interview we did mention about obviously the Hamish pullout and the influencer scene, but I feel like that's something not spoken about enough, the amount of pullouts. Like on average every card, I'm sure there's at least maybe 6 or 7, even more on some cards. I know
Yeah.
this one, Trey had 2 pullouts. And obviously that's just him, so there was like 20 odd fights and stuff,
Do
so
you know what I think's unfair, Louis? I signed up for Kieran on 2.5 weeks' notice because, as you know, Ken's originally pulled out. So, it was 2.5 weeks' notice. I went for the hard sparring as much as I could for 2 weeks, went on some runs, and that was it. I would not have been good for 3 rounds. My game plan was very aggressive, very early, get someone out of there. That was the game plan. And looking at Kieran's style, round 3 would have been very hard for me. Very hard for me because he was like white on rice, that kid's
yeah.
style. But anyway, so Kieran, I accepted that. Hamish, I accepted that. Trey, I at least put my name for, so I didn't get it signed up, but I said I'll take it. So that's 3 opponents in a week. And then when I saw Kieran at the weigh-ins and saw how drawn out he was in the face and how sucked in he was, I said I do not know how he's going to wake up in the morning. So I got in contact with the promoters at Speedstar, and I said, if not Trey, if Kieran in the morning wakes up, he's had a turn for the worst. I said, do not ring me asking me for the main event. Just tell me it's happening and we'll redo the contract. So in my eyes, that was a fourth kind of same opponent twice, but 4 times in the week I tried to save the card and get a bout. And out of everyone that pulled out, I was the one guy left without a bout in the end. And I said yes to more fights than anyone. So I say trust the process. I do have to trust the process when it goes in my favour and against me. But listen, it's led us to this. I came out the weekend unscathed. My name's known a lot more now than it was. I've made some good relationships. And I think you know the truth, Louis. You know I'm looking for a fight. I think behind the scenes, Eddie Hearn, Dana White, they say, trust me, behind the scenes, people know who's real and who's not.
Yeah,
You're there, Louis. You've seen what's happened this weekend, so you know what the truth is.
yeah, of course. And off camera as well, we were speaking about the fight with Luke Dyson. I know you said you would need training and you admit you'd
100%.
need proper training for that fight, but
Yeah.
say you had 6 to kind of 8 weeks training, how do you think you'd do versus someone like Luke Dyson?
So I think not only do I need the training, like everyone can be stood in the kitchen chatting rubbish about someone like Luke, and everyone can beat Luke Dyson when they're not in front of him. When you've got like nearly 90 kilos of testosterone in front of you swinging from the canvas, like I watched his fight last night with Jay Wise at the Motorpoint Arena. Was you? I don't know if you was there at that or you seen
Work there,
it.
I did watch it though, yeah.
And the way that Luke throws, like I've got some people in mind for sparring, but it is so difficult to prepare from hooks that come from yesterday. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Luke will probably say himself, his style is absolutely unique. So not only would I need a good 6 weeks training, but I also would need a fight beforehand, in my opinion. I don't think you can come into a fight with Luke and say, "Yeah, I've had 6 fights in my whole life, and I'm ready for him." So I want to put respect on his name. I want to put respect on my name. And yeah, I would love that. That's the final boss for me. I think Luke's pretty intimidating. Like I'm not like a Jay Wise where you look at a Luke and it's like just another day, or for Tommy Hench, it's just another day and then move on to the next one. Like I've always seen Luke as that test of how much of a man are you? Are you brave enough to swing rocks with him or throw rocks with him? So that's what I'm aiming to do. You've got to earn the right. And yeah, no, I would like to think with the right training camp and about beforehand, can I beat him? Listen, I'm not that guy that goes into it saying, yeah, definitely I'd beat him. I know I should say that because that's what boxers say. I'm saying I'm brave enough to stand with him and take a chance to see what happens. And I hope people respect that because if it was like, oh, well, he's a pussy, I can't believe he's not backing himself. It's not about that. It's not about that, Louis. It's about saying, do you know what? I've got a hell of a lot of respect for the work that Luke's put in. And I want to see how I stack up against him. And do you know what? There is a chance I come up short, but it's not. I won't be going in there giving it my all.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw what he's like when he knocked out Tommy Hench, first round, I think it was.
Yeah,
Tommy couldn't stand up. He was dancing in the ring. So
yeah.
obviously, I think any boxer, no matter whether they've had 5 to 15, 20 fights, would need obviously good training or even a fight beforehand to face Luke Dyson. But I
Well, the
just
thing
wanted
is,
to get you,
I could go for the clout route, mate, and I could be like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, easy, knowing that I'm never going to go in there with him. That'd be the easiest thing to do. But I genuinely have aspirations, and what I'm hoping, Louis, we can clip up this video, and on the build up to fighting him, naturally this is going to come out, and people will see the consistency in me. I won't act different now to I would do in the presser, and win, lose or draw, I'll shake the man's hand. So yeah, it is one of them, mate, where I'm not doing a Hamish and pretending anything. Like I genuinely think I'll be staring across the ring from him. So I want to be massively respectful because he deserves that, and I'm not going to let myself down chatting shit, pretending I'm someone I'm not.
yeah, and I think now there is kind of a little thing where too many boxers call Luke out who haven't properly trained or had the fights too. Because I know I saw on his Facebook the other day, now you've got to pay £150 to fight him, which is fair, the amount of call outs he's had. But what do you actually like make of that?
What do you mean by that? What's the context of 150 quid?
Basically, because he's had so many call outs from people,
Yeah.
um, you have to pay to fight him, to step
So
in.
what, like the actual boxer himself?
Yeah, you have to pay Luke. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not paying Luke shit. The promoter will pay Luke. That doesn't happen. That doesn't ever happen. Like I sign up for fights, I turn up and I fight, and no, I won't be paying Luke a penny. But what would happen if it was to come to this is he'd sign a contract with the fight promotion. Unless I'm the promoter brought in on the promotion, he gets paid by the promoter. I don't think there's any rules where I have to pay to talk about someone. But I can promise you this, Louis, if you ever see me in the room with him, I wouldn't pay a penny, bruv. I'll tell you that now. But Luke, all Luke has to do is watch 1 minute of me talking, and he'll understand that he'll know that I'm the real deal. I'm not someone who would flake on him. So I get why he's saying that. I really do, because there's a lot of pretenders. But yeah, I really don't think there'd be any issues with him believing me, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And going back to the main event, I wanted to get your thoughts on obviously the decision, the draw, because I know Trey had a lot of supporters there, Kieran had some, and there was a big kind of boo from Trey's side. Obviously very positively saying he did win that. I didn't think it was clear that he won. I thought whatever way it goes, I wouldn't say it's a robbery, but yeah, it could have went either way.
I thought the draw was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was, like when you watch Batavia versus Bivol the first time, you think it's just Bivol because he had the bollocks to stay in the middle with Batavia when normally conventionally say, nah, just stay safe. That's just the way that we know those two fight. So we know Bivol was being additionally brave, but it doesn't mean he should have won necessarily. The second fight, yeah, definitively, you can definitely say Bivol won. With regards to Kieran and Trey, it's such a strange one because Kieran's style is so unconventional. But I know with the rehydration clause, because he was so dehydrated and should have been 3-4 kilos heavier, I give that bit more respect to Kieran.
Yeah, yeah.
And I shouldn't do. I shouldn't, because if you're asking me my opinion on just what I saw in the ring and the ring only, I like what both guys did. Like, I've gone in the comment section when they're both posting and I'm saying, hey, listen, you had a gut check, boys. You had a gut check in front of everyone and you both passed the test. It was an emphatic, you both had to ask yourselves, do I want this? And it was an emphatic yes. So, honestly, I just think Trey, for a first bouter, did so, so well. And I'm not even calling for that fight. I'm not calling for it. He wouldn't take it, and I'm just not calling for it. I think we can spar with each other, bring each other along. I think that would be good. Same with Kieran. I think Kieran's such a nice lad. Wouldn't want to be in the ring with him. But if you talk about styles, Kieran is a nightmare. If you do not pin that guy down, a bit like Tyson Fury, he's going to be there for every second trying to win. So I'm happy with a draw. I think they should both be very happy with that. I think your first bout is just a case of getting it out of the way, and you've got the experience. But no, it's a great main event, wasn't it? Really good.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't expect that. They were both taking heavy shots. They were gassed, but they were still obviously resilient.
Yeah,
What I wanted to also say as well, I spoke to someone backstage, and they were saying about Trey. Obviously, he's a Love Islander. He's been on reality TV.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Misfits would be interested in Trey, especially if he wins his next fight as well, because I know he'd have a couple fights before. But would you like to see Trey and Misfits, obviously after more training as well?
I don't think it really matter. Look, listen, if Trey and I build a relationship from training together, then I'll probably be more inclined to say, yeah, I'd love to see him go far in the space. But the truth of the matter is, right this moment in time, we don't really know each other. So would I like to see him go down that route? I don't really care. He can do what he wants. I think it'd be nice to see him stay in Speed Star, helping grow the promotion that I'm potentially going to be fighting with, bringing
Yeah.
more eyes to us. I think I'd like to see Trey hang around ours a little bit longer, then look to move on towards the Misfits. But I don't want to be rude in saying that. But I don't care if he goes to Misfits or not, unless he turns into a pal of mine. It doesn't make a one bit of difference to me. I just would like to see Kieran get another payday, and they both run it back because I think they can use it as a yardstick to see how much improvement we've both been made. So I think they should run it back. Personally, that's what I think.
Yeah, 100%. Same, I agree. And
Yeah.
last question as well. For everyone watching this who may not kind of follow your boxing or follow you on social media, what do you bring to the ring and why should they watch you for your next fight and, keep up with your platform?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Louis. I'm not going to try and convince anyone. If you've watched this interview and you're intrigued enough to think, do you know what, there's something relatable about him or authentic, then check out my socials. Obviously, I'm going to be tagged in this interview, so you'll be able to see. I like a shroud of mystery because there's been a lot of questions this weekend about what is my style, how am I. I went on the pads for a minute or two in the ring before everyone came out to the venue. A few people filmed it and seen it and been talking about it. So if you want to talk to Luke at Speedstar, he's seen a little bit of flavour of what I'm like. However, the pads do not hit back. Anyone can look powerful on the pads. They do not hit back. So I'm not really saying too much about my style, mate, because my next opponent's going to watch this back,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to come out with too much. I might be southpaw, I might be a switch hitter, I might be good, I might be shit. Who knows, Louis? But ultimately, I want to get under the lights with my son, with Bailey, represent our hometown. I don't want to put on a show at the end of the day, mate. I want to put on a show. That's what I want to do. I'm not here to be boring. I want to make good relationships with people, grow my own personal brand, and want to be involved in exciting fights. So if people like the sound of that, give me a follow. If you're on my platform, I think you should give Louis a follow because he's the next generation. And outside of that, mate, I guess I hopefully will be catching you at the next presser.
Yeah, of course. I mean, before we end it, if you are a future opponent of Benji's watching this, I saw the video of him on the pads, and I know they don't hit back, but he looks sharp, he looked fast, so be ready for that on your jaw. But thanks for
Did
watching.
I show you it myself? Was I trying to show off?
Yeah,
Was
yeah, yeah. You showed.
I?
Thanks for watching the interview, everyone, and shout out to the sponsors over at Ghost Promotions. You'll be seeing Benji in the ring probably this year. Well, most definitely this year, actually. So look forward to that. I'll be adding him in the comments and in the description. So go drop him a follow.